What's going on, everyone? Today we're back with another video. Today we're going to be recapping UFC London, Edwards vs. Brady, which took place this weekend. Now, overall, it was a pretty fun card. Um, a lot of decisions, which kind of slowed down the pace of the card, but it was pretty fun. Moving on, let's jump right into it. First fight of the night, we got Quay Fernandez versus Guram Kutadalazi. Quay Fernandez was able to get the decision in this fight. Now, very, very surprising. I did not think it would go like this. I thought Guram was going to come up with an easy win during this fight, but he did not. No, don't get me wrong. Guram doesn't look too bad still, but if you're losing to someone like Quay Fernandez, you're not what no one thought you were going to be. Hopefully the UFC doesn't cut him. He still probably has one more fight in him. Quay Fernandez came out looking pretty good this fight. I did not think he had it in him. He's shown that he is not the best wrestler, but hey, maybe Guram isn't that wrestler that we thought he was. So, kind of embarrassing for Guram. He had Hamza and the Taporia brothers in his corner, and Taporia, I think I've seen him face palming, which isn't that great. Quay Fernandez came out. He dropped Guram early on with the head kick, and he also dropped him, I think, twice with leg kicks. Pretty crazy. He also outlanded him like pretty significantly on the strikes, and he was able to mix it in the takedowns, which Guram was not able to make it happen. Now, for Quay Fernandez, I say we give him someone like Nuralo Aliyev, who is probably looking for a fight right now, and Quay Fernandez is looking for a step up in the rankings. He's shown in his past that he struggled with wrestling, so this is a test to that. I'd like to see him get tested. He looked pretty good. I think this is fight next for him. Moving on. Guram Kutadalazi, I think he could be fighting Tom Nolan. I think Tom Nolan would probably win that fight, but let's make that fight. Moving on to the next fight on the card. Nathan Fletcher versus Colin Lochran, a robbery. I thought this was a flat out robbery. I thought Nathan Fletcher outlanded him pretty significantly, and I thought he won at least two of the rounds. Colin Lochran was just moving forward with pressure, got a lot of control time against the cage. I did not think he won this fight. Nathan Fletcher, there was a moment when he was just in the clinch throwing like flying knees, and he really did outland him in this fight. I thought he deserved the win. Another robbery, or first robbery on the card. And for Nathan Fletcher, I say we give him Carlos Vera, who's coming off an upset, not an upset, excuse me, an underdog KO against Josias Josias Musa, something like that. He head kicked him. That was very surprising. I did not think he had that in him because he is primarily a grappler. But I think this is a good fight. Around the same ranking spot. Let's make that happen. Now, for Colin Lochran, I say we give him Bexat for his robbery win. Let's just call it what it is. He won by robbery. You want to step up? Let's give you that step up with the hard comp. Moving on. Shauna Baden versus Puja Tamara, and what I think is probably the funnest fight on the card. And with Shauna Baden came out early, throwing these weird taekwondo karate style side kicks. Don't look too effective, but hey, Puja Tamara could not close the distance whatsoever until she finally closed the distance with a crazy, crazy head kick, followed up with crazy, crazy ground and pound. And when I tell you Shauna Bannon was completely out, she was completely out. The ref could have came in there and stopped this at any moment, but he let the fight go on. And by doing so, he allowed Shauna Bannon to put Puja Tamar in an armbar, very, very short reach of Puja Tamar, very tall opponent in Shauna Bannon. Very likely to happen. It happened. She got the finish. Very, very fun fight. Really love to see that. The women on this card really came out and performed, so congrats to them. Moving on. Christian Leroy Duncan versus Pulaev. Now, a bit of a boring fight, which I'm going to be honest, a couple of the fights on this card were kind of boring. Didn't really do much until the last 30 seconds, and he very Sean Strickland it. Went forward, was calling for him to throw strikes. He was throwing a lot of strikes. He rocked him, I believe, and it just shows that if he really came forward, he could have got the win a lot easier earlier on. Now for Christian Leroy Duncan, I say we give him Rizaboyev. Now for Duncan, who's been a little bit of a slow starter and had a lot of boring fights in the UFC, I think if you put him up against an opponent like Rizaboyev, that's guaranteed to be a banger of a matchup. There's no way that this fight is slow paced, boring at all. I say it's pretty fair fight for both of them, around the same career space. That's the fight to happen. That's good. UFC should do this. It's fun. Let's do that. Moving on. Marcin Tybura versus Mick Parkin, in which Marcin Tybura got the win. Another one that I thought could have gone to the other opponent. I thought Mick Parkin should have got the nod on this one. Very close fight. Uh, Two big boys going at it. I don't know much to say. It was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. Check that out. If you like heavyweight fights, you can check it out. Most people don't. It's a little bit boring in today's age. But for Marcin Tybura, I say we give him Shamil the Blob Gaziev for Shamil to get an easy W. I think Shamil's pretty good. I think he maybe not win this fight because Tybura has been putting away everybody who goes up to him. But that's a fun fight. I think that's a fight to make next after Shamil is coming off a fight with Spivak. I think you could probably win that fight. I think Spivak actually finished Tybura. So, but this is a fun fight. I think that's a fight to happen next. And for Parkin, I say we give him someone around the same level, someone who is also fast, like Waldo Cortez Acosta. Now, I think that's a pretty fun fight. Would primarily, I think, be a striking battle, but I think Parkin could mix it up. I think overall could get the W in this one. Moving on. Loner Kavanagh versus Felipe Dos Santos. What I think is the second funnest fight on the card, if not the funnest fight on the card, because I was just very surprised with that women's fight early on. But this is probably the funner fight of the card. Loner Kavanagh came out there, looked really, really good. Felipe Dos Santos, he looked pretty good himself. Kavanagh was coming in with some crazy combinations, while Dos Santos was coming in with some wicked elbows, spinning back elbows. He's out of that shooto box gym in Brazil, so you know what he's going. He's going forward. He's throwing crazy techniques. He's fun to watch. Unfortunately, he was having a lot of fouls in this fight. He cheated quite a bit, so I'm not going to matchmake him. But for Loner Kavanagh, I think he deserves to step up. And I say we give him Alessandro Costa and what would be a banger of a fight. And just someone outside the top 15, which I think Kavanagh is coming in at. He's deserving of someone just outside because, if not inside the top 15, because he's fun. Not a lot of fun guys at 125. He's one of them. Let's make this fight. Hopefully he wins this. This is a hard fight, so maybe you don't make this fight if you don't want to kill him too early because Costa is a powerful guy, very explosive. We saw him in that fun fight against Ursig in which he almost put Ursig out at one point. But, hey, Ursig almost put him out more than he did. So it's winnable for Kavanagh. That's a good fight. Moving on. Boring, boring, boring. I don't even want to talk about this fight, but I guess I would. Originally, I wanted to give Jai Herbert Elvis Brenner, but he fumbled, so we can give it to Padilla. Padilla, you can get Brenner, I guess. Moving on. Herbert, let's give you Garcia, who I think is going to win his next fight. He's fighting, was it Vince Pinchel? Pinchel, I think his name is. They could do with that big old mustache in UFC Mexico. I think he's going to win that fight. I think that's a fight to happen next. Moving on from this boring fight. Don't want to talk about it any longer. A pretty fun fight. A decision yet again, but pretty fun nonetheless. Nathaniel Wood came out there, showed that he is better than his opponent once more, but does not finish him. But it's probably hard to finish someone tough like the last Pirate, Morgan Charrier. He's pretty good himself. This was a fun fight. Nathaniel Wood rocked Morgan Charrier early on. Did not have any finishing instinct whatsoever. Maybe he's scared. I don't know what it is. He did not finish him. Let the fight go on. Overall, looked better. Got the nod. Now, for Nathaniel Wood, I think that fight that you make next is Doo Ho Choi. This is that fight that you sell Nathaniel Wood. If you want to sell him, this is the fight you sell him with because there's no way that Doo Ho Choi is going to have a boring fight. He's always in a fun fight. The Korean Superboy never fails to impress. This is what you want. To sell your prospect, this is the fight you want to make. Either of these fighters could be sold on this fight. This is fun. Let's do that. And for the last Pirate, Morgan Charrier, I don't think he's too bad of a fighter himself. This was a close fight. Don't get me wrong. For him, I say we give him someone like the prospect killer, Christian Rodriguez, who is probably looking to become a contender, not really just the prospect killer himself. He's looking to start his contender run. I think this is the fight to make next. And on to the next one. Chris Duncan, Jordan Vucenic, in what I was another fight that I was very disappointed in. Vucenic, I thought you were better than this. This was extremely, extremely frustrating to watch. I was laughing at it because I was like, man, I just said Vucenic is a future at lightweight, and this is what I get. 2 losses in a row and one being super, super embarrassing. At least Guram had some hype at that time, and that was a close fight. This was just bad. He came out there and he shot a takedown on someone who was clearly the better grappler, who was clearly stronger, and he got sprawled easily. What did he do? He got back up, had some more success at the feet. Don't get me he was having success at the feet to get started. Shot, got sprawled, got back up, had some more success, shot again, and got put in a guillotine. Don't be silly, jump the gilly. He did it. Chris Duncan, I guess you deserve the step up. Jordan Vucenic, I'm a little disappointed in you. I hope the UFC doesn't cut you. I know you just got UFC tattooed on your knee. I still think you have some potential in the division. Work on your decision making because that was Jalen Turner, Michael Chandler level decision making. But you do have some glimmer of potential in there. So please work on that. I know you got it. And for Chris Duncan, I think he deserves what he called for. Terrence McKinney, he wanted that fight at UFC Miami. I think there are too many fights already on that card, but I wouldn't mind adding another on what is a stacked pay-per-view card. Very fun card, UFC Miami. I will also be doing a video on that, so be on the lookout on the channel for that one. I think that's probably one of the cards of the year, if not the card of the year. So be sure to check that one out. April 12th, I believe it is. Terrence McKinney, he called for that fight. Let's make that one. And for a fight that I have called before in the past, Slavakaz versus Jordan Vucenic. I think after this loss, it makes sense even more. They're at the same level, both off losses. Let's make that fight. I think it'll be a fun fight. He fought Guram, who's Slavakaz's twin. So let's do this one. Moving on. Molly McCann versus Alexia Dayanara. Dayanara came out, looked really, really good. She looked pretty fast, pretty strong in the ground. You don't get a lot of prospects at women's MMA, so I'd like to see what she has in the future. All I got to say about her, Meatball Molly McCann, really, really sad to see her go. She's one of those fighters that really adds a lot to women's cards. You don't get a lot of fun women's fights, and she's one of those fun fighters. Always a finish, whether it's her or her opponent. She's always fun to watch. Really, really sad to see her retire, but hopefully she can have some type of personality higher. Maybe she can get in on the UFC and podcast, not podcasting, and interviewing of some sorts. She's definitely a fun person to be around. I could see her getting a gig like that. Really excited to see what she does outside of her UFC career and into her next professional part of her career. I think she's gonna do wonders. Shout out Meatball Molly. Enjoy retirement. Moving on. Kevin 4570 Holland versus Gunnar Nelson. I'm really excited. I was pumped. At first, I was so worried when he got put on his back early on by Gunnar Nelson because we've seen what happens to Kevin Holland when he gets put on his back. Or maybe it's just at 185. He doesn't have that strength. But here at 170, he's a different animal. He was putting Gunnar in all kinds of submissions. And shout out to Gunnar Nelson. He was able to pick up Kevin Holland with one arm, show that he has the strength to do so, show that he's a good contender at 170 himself. You know, taking down Kevin Holland's pretty cool because Kevin Holland's a hard person to take down. Now, Kevin Holland in the first round put Gunnar, like I said, in many, many submissions and then got up in like the later 10 seconds of the round and he was able to drop Gunnar Nelson and then put some good ground and pound on him. End of the round, Gunnar was saved. Give it another 5 seconds, that fight's over. Round 2, round 3, same thing. You know, fighting off his back. I thought Kevin Holland won all 3 rounds off of his back. Very good fight from him. And just one thing you got to say about Kevin Holland is it's always fun to see him at the top of the sport. He deserves to be up there. He's fun. He has a lot of antics outside of the cage. He has a lot of antics inside of the cage as well, don't get me wrong. But he's still pretty fun character in the UFC, and you love to have personalities in the UFC. Kevin Holland's one of them. This was a good fight for him. And I think he's going to get another shot at the rankings, maybe another crack at it. I think that's what he's going for. And with that, I think a win over Brian Battle, who is just outside the rankings, can get him that shot. Maybe he wins this fight and he gets a step up and they give him a killer like someone like Prates or Morales, you know, someone to make a name off that person, which is a winnable fight because if it's standing, Kevin Holland has a chance in that fight. It's usually just when it gets taken down. And at 170, I mean, Gunnar Nelson's a good grappler at 170, so Kevin Holland looked pretty good in the grappling department at 170. Hopefully he stays here. He said he would fight next week at 185. Please don't do so, but if you want to, you can get, you know, a shot of bullet maybe. That'd be cool. For Gunnar Nelson, Jake Matthews is the fight to make at 170. Jake Matthews is also looking to start a contender run, you know, trying to get a crack at the rankings himself, like Kevin Holland is, like Brian Battle is, like Gunnar Nelson is. These are all contenders at 170. Prospects at 170. And I think they're probably around the same level. That's the fight to make. Moving on to the next one on the card. Co-main event, Carlos Blackjack Oberg versus Jan Polish Power Bohovic. Another one that I thought was a robbery. But hey, don't get me wrong. If it's a robbery, it's because it's a close fight. But I definitely think Jan should have got the nod in this one. The older fighter, the more accomplished fighter. I think he outdid Olberg. I really did. It's not just that he's more accomplished and older. I think he outdid him in this fight. I think he deserved the win in this fight. But it was very, very close. I'm not complaining. Olberg looks pretty good himself. He's a lot younger, so he better look pretty good against Jan Blachowicz, who's now 42 years old. But for someone like Carlos Olberg, I would like to see him against the winner of Khalil Roundtree versus Jamal Hill. I think that'll be a fun fight. Either way, how you sell it, if it's Olberg Roundtree, Olberg Hill, I don't think Olberg's gonna do what Yuri did to Hill, and I don't think Olberg's gonna do what Pereira did to Roundtree. I think it's gonna be a fun fight. Probably gonna be a war through if it's a main event or 3 rounds. It's gonna be a war through 3 to 5 rounds. But maybe we get a third round finish is what could be likely in this fight. But I just don't see anyone being caught that early on. Very technical fighters, very fun fight. I think this is a number one contenders fight that you could sell at light heavyweight. And for the other half of the co-main event, Jan Blachowicz, I just really want to see this fight. Now maybe it doesn't make sense for Jan Blachowicz at this point in his career, but these both of these fighters have been in the UFC for so long, and they both have not fought each other. It just doesn't make sense that this fight has not yet to be happened. So yeah, I've seen MMA Guru. I think is the one that called for Jan to fight Volkan Ozdemir. I could see that happening if you want to give Jan a layup for like a retirement fight. He is 42. He's not the same fighter that he once was, but he still looked good. I thought he won the fight. I'm just selfish. I want to see this fight. Maybe it doesn't make sense. I really don't want to see Jan get hurt, so I really don't want to call for this fight actually, but it's just unfortunate that this fight never happened when they were both in their prime. It should have happened. Shame on you, UFC. You should have done this. There's a chance to still do it. Maybe you don't. I don't mind if you don't. Moving on to both of the fighters that this card was centered around. Leon Edwards and Sean Brady. Sean Brady got the win, bullied Leon Edwards through I think it was 4 rounds, got the submission, looked really good himself. I think he looked better than Bilal did against Leon, which is very impressive because Brady is someone who got finished standing on the feet against Bilal Muhammad in this past. So he's shown a lot of improvement. He's shown that he's the next contender, if not could be the next champion at this division. So I would like to see for him a number one contenders fight. Hey, they've been calling for it. Buckley's been calling for it. I think Brady's been calling for it the same. I think this should happen next. Buckley looks really, really good at 170. He came down from 185. This is his division. He just come off a knockout. Steven Wonderboy Thompson. What a banger. That's crazy. Brady just submitted Leon Rocky Edwards. Come on. It doesn't get better than that. These guys at the top, very well improved fighters, both calling for it. Make it happen. That's the number one contenders fight you need. Now, for Leon Edwards, I just don't know at this point in his career, but a fun fight. Maybe it doesn't match up with timelines and stuff like that. He's very inactive, so I don't know what you do with him, but Ian Gary, I think that's a fun fight. I think it's finally a winnable fight for Leon Edwards. He's faced 2 heavy grapplers in a row, heavy pace in a row. Gary's different. You know, he likes to sit at range and pick his shots. Very technical striker, very good. Leon Edwards is also a very technical fighter. Leon Edwards can also mix it up just as good as, if not better, than Ian Gary. And he sure is stronger. Ian Gary, vegan, very, very skinny. Edwards, people say he has the most aesthetic build in the UFC. He has a lot more muscle than Gary, that's for sure. Unless Ian Gary's nutritionist gives him some meat, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's a fight to make. I don't know if it's winnable for Leon Edwards at this point of his career because of how he's looked, but that's a fun fight. I like that. Both good strikers. And this brings me to my final topic of the card. Overall, it was a really fun card. A lot of decisions. The women's really came out there and helped it out. A lot of good names on the card, which did help it out itself. Which brings me to my next point, my tangent of this little topic. I have a little rant for you guys. I love UFC fight nights that are centered around different cities. We've had UFC London recently, UFC Macau in the past, UFC Mexico multiple times, throughout the years. UFC France with Moicano and Saint Denis. That was a fun matchup. I'm just here to tell you, UFC, Please keep these cards up. I like the Abu Dhabi cards. I like the Saudi Arabia cards. That Seattle card was a cool card. UFC Tampa recently was a fun card. These are the cards you're supposed to be making. These are the fight nights we want. We like a crowd. The crowd really does help the audience. And I can speak for example, like on experience. I was at UFC 311 in Los Angeles, Makachev versus Moicano. Man, the crowd was so exciting in those last couple fights, especially that Marab versus Umnar fight. Man, the crowd was going crazy during those emotes, and even during the Makachev fight, which was only one round, when he slipped, the crowd went crazy, and it was just a slip. Let me tell you, the excitement that the crowd adds to these events really does help. So UFC, please keep it up. I love these. No more Apex cards unless it's Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker 2. You know what I mean? We only want bangers if it's in the Apex. But this is what we want. This is fun. And this brings me to the end of my second official UFC video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Later.